This episode of Into the Shoot is brought to you by Blackstone Labs. Whatever your fitness goal, Blackstone Labs will not only help you achieve it, but exceed it.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go.
You're about to dive into the shoot with your host, Wesley Crane.
Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Wesley Crane. I am a professional wrestler, a husband, filmmaker, and father of 3 amazing kids. My guest today started in the backyard on a trampoline and has since wrestled for mainstream promotions such as Sabotage Wrestling and Chikara Pro. You can catch him shaking hips and doing flips at a show near you. Ladies and gentlemen, Fuego Del Sol. Fuego, how you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm like a broke toenail. I'm barely hanging on, but I'm making it.
So, you were born in, 1995?
1995. I am 23 years old. I'll be 24 in August.
Oh, man.
In October. I don't even know.
October.
Too many bumps. Too many bumps.
So, where did the love of wrestling come from as a child?
It's a cliche answer, but my dad is a diehard wrestling fan, so I've literally been watching it since I can remember. Like, some of my earliest memories was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Attitude Era, into the invasion angle, and I just fell in love with it and watched it every Monday night, every Friday, Thursday, whenever SmackDown came on back then, and I've been hooked ever since.
Who's your favorite wrestler as a kid?
Stone Cold, and then when I got up to understand a little bit more and Shawn Michaels made his return in 2004, I was a giant Shawn Michaels fan.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of people that know you as Fuego del Sol on the independent scene, but before then, you actually gained fame as a 14-year-old kid in KBW, or Kids Backyard Wrestling. When did that all kind of happen? What was the process of, the birth of KBW?
Well, I'm the oldest of 4, and 3 of my siblings are younger brothers. And so we would always be in the backyard playing all types of sorts of sports. As many kids from around the neighborhood. It was a tight-knit neighborhood, so we'd always have kids over playing backyard football, baseball, all of that. Of course, I had a trampoline. I grew up loving to do flips, crazy stuff on the trampoline. I got a camera for Christmas when I turned 14 around that year, and I was like, whoa, why don't we record this? There was another company on YouTube at the time that was filming almost WWE-style production as backyard wrestling. I got inspired. I was like, well, I would love to. Why don't we try to make videos and put them online? And I'm a smart kid. I didn't realize what I was doing, but at first we were pretending to be WWE superstars. We'd name the match KBW, Jeff Hardy versus Edge, and one person would act like Edge and one person would act like Jeff Hardy. And because we used those names in the titles, it slowly started getting views because people were like, what is this, Jeff Hardy and Edge? And then see kids wrestling. And then eventually we started doing gimmick matches with it, to where you'd see like a Royal Rumble or like a Money in the Bank, and we'd do a little bit more crazier stuff and just slowly started gaining speed from there. And I did that from 14 to almost 18, 19.
I mean, so what was, like you said, you'd name Jeff Hardy versus Edge, and that's where the following started to happen. What went through your head as you started seeing those followers wow, we have something now? Like, I guess what was the transition from doing like Jeff Hardy versus Edge to your character Cage versus AK-47 or something like that?
So I think we did 3 matches like that, WWE style names, and I saw them picking up speed, and I was like, well, what if we created our own names and gimmicks and everything else? And I put up a video called The Beginning of KBW, where it was just me cutting a promo, introducing myself, introducing a couple people that were going to be main guys in it. And a lot of it, so we ended up filming like 4 seasons of KBW, just because there were different times where cameras would break or it would be winter and we didn't record for a while, and just have like season endings. And like the first 2 seasons are dreadful, but it was mostly just me. Like I was the one that loved wrestling, so if I could convince a friend to come over, convince my brother that, hey, let's record something, I'd get it set up, I'd produce the matches, I'd be like, hey, let's do this move, this move. I would be the only one taking any type of crazy bumps. I do pride myself on how tough I feel like I am, and so I made sure no other kids were getting hurt. I made sure I was the one taking all the crazy stuff, and that kind of worked out in my favor because we did some crazier stuff to where we could get away with things. My mom, like I said, we always had kids and stuff in the yard, so she wasn't fully aware of what all we were doing. But because I'm so tough and no one was getting hurt, we were able to pick up steam like that. And slowly just the more people started progressing, like I said, the 3 main videos that had the WWE Superstars names were getting traction. And, like, we weren't doing great views on the newer stuff of just us. But once we locked down a camera, locked down an editing software, maybe it took about 2 years from going to 14 to about 16 to really understanding stuff that we started picking up steam with what we were doing. And I was every Saturday having kids over, or when I got my car and I could actually drive and go pick up kids, I could put a lot more effort into it, and it slowly started gaining steam.
Okay. Now, did you guys like pull double duty and stuff like that? Like, you know, you were Cage and another character?
Yes,
or?
I was. I was the masked wrestler as well, because me and my best friend, who also later turned pro with me, his name was AK, and we had wrestled each other 1,000 times, and like sometimes it was like, okay, we need to change things up. Oh, well, I'll be a masked guy and introduce a masked guy and do things different, and so then we could wrestle each other 5 more times as me in a mask. And then he eventually got a mask and did a different type of gimmick. And but when it slowly started picking up steam, all the kids in the neighborhood wanted to be a part of it because they saw it was doing good on YouTube. And then we ended up creating like a 16, 17-man roster to where, hey, if he's not available this weekend, I got 3 or 4 more guys that are available. Let's do cooler stuff. And then we did this big Money in the Bank match. With I had a buddy of mine who owned a truck. He brought over ladders. We set it up. I planned this incredible it was a trampoline, so no one was getting hurt, but cool looking Tower of Doom spots off a ladder onto the trampoline, and it blew up tremendously in 2012, and that was the thing that really sent us over the edge.
With you guys doing mask characters, was the mask character like, was it a different name every time, or was it a like, this is a masked character and it's part of, you know?
That's part of our roster. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so me and my best friend, like I said, we were the only ones that could trust someone to carry a match,
right,
in a sense. So we had to be in most matches all the time, unless we heavily produce it beforehand for them to make sure they were doing it correctly. So if we can't be in every match every night, so it would be me in a match against someone, him in a match against someone, his secondary character in a match with someone, and then maybe we do triple threat, 4-way. But as long as one of us was in there, that we could make sure things were going correctly. We were, for a while, people didn't realize that, but we were always in that match. But we were able to mix it up or add it into multi-mans to where it didn't look like we were doing the same matches every time.
Right on, man. Now I know that you have gone on record saying at some point you're gonna own your own, you know, wrestling company and put on shows and stuff like that. So, you know, if you were to do that, say in the next, 4 or 5 years, what would be the name of said company?
Oh, wow. I've actually never thought about the name of the company. I love the initials KBW, but I don't think we could do, like, there's no cool, like, so for, like, once we became big enough to where we weren't kids anymore, I started calling it Kings of Backyard Wrestling. Because we weren't kids anymore, but we were some of the best.
Right, you were adults at that point.
Yes, but I haven't ever thought about. I got to think about that. I would have to figure it out what I want. But that's definitely a major goal. First goal: get a contract somewhere, hopefully.
Absolutely.
But I love training people. I always like my trainer ran shows, and I just shadowing him and seeing how things were done, and then running KBW and seeing, hey, if I'm 16 and can run this successfully on YouTube, why not take a stab at it for real?
Right. Now, we touched a little bit on your main character in KBW, Cage, spelled with a K, correctly?
Yes, because my real name is spelled with a K.
Right. Now, I know you as KJ. We can always edit this out, but now I'm kind of fucking curious.
No, you're good.
What is your shoot name?
Keith is my shoot name.
Keith.
Yes.
You don't strike me as a Keith.
Because I'm muy caliente. That's Fuego Del Sol.
Man, I remember seeing you work several times and not even knowing what you sounded like. And I always try to put, like, I bet you he sounds like this. You come up and talk to me, and then, your voice comes out, and I'm just not expecting it ever.
Oh, absolutely. And, like, where I'm from the South, and, of course, I have a Southern twang to my voice, but it's nowhere, like, where I come from, I speak very proper compared to what other people speak like, but still coming to different places and people hearing a little bit of that Southernness come out. Like when I count 4, 5, 6, 7 instead of 7, right? Like, it's just things that I naturally say are, y'all will be quick. Ain't, I always say I ain't gonna do something, or I ain't worried about this. Like, so it sneaks out every once in a while, but I'm a little smaller, so of course, and I talk very loudly because I'm smaller, and I got the, I guess, Napoleon syndrome, Napoleon, so I like to yell, and I'm very loud, so sometimes it's high pitched.
Now you're from Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama,
Wow.
born and raised.
That is fucking south. Now, did KBW start in Mobile?
Yes, it did, and it went. So I was also very prevalent in sports in high school, and I got a soccer scholarship to move to Oklahoma, and because of that, we had to put KBW on hold because, like I said, I was producing, commentating, running everything,
Right.
and I feel like me and my best friend, and then maybe there was one or two more guys that were passionate about KBW. The other guys just wanted to be a part of it because we were passionate, right? So they weren't passionate enough to run things or get things done, but they loved to be a part of it. But I get comments all the time on all of my stuff. Oh, why ain't any of the other guys go pro? Well, they didn't love wrestling. They just loved being a part of this family that we created of us. Hey, I got something to do on a Saturday. We can all come hang out, play basketball, playing some wrestling matches, and have some fun on YouTube.
Exactly. I remember doing like a little bit of backyard wrestling with a few of my friends. We never got into like crazy depth of filming and editing and all that other stuff. But we saw it on TV. We absolutely loved it, and it's sad because I'm the only one that ever actually followed through with it. But we would do things. We didn't have chairs and ladders and stuff lying around because we were just kids.
Yeah, so my mom was a photographer, and so she had a lot of props in her building, and I definitely got in trouble from stealing a bunch of props. And she had these very cool looking podiums, and I was like, holy crap, entrances right there,
Yeah.
Cool podiums. And so my dad was a big builder, but he'd start projects and never finish them, so there'd be leftover wood lying around.
Right.
Oh, let's just take this wood that he's not going to use and break it and hope he doesn't find out. So there's a lot of scheming. I'm very sneaky, smart, sneaky guy. But eventually, when I was about 17, 18, we got contacted because we were averaging about 5. We put up a video, and 4 weeks in, it would average around 5,000. We had at least 5,000 loyal viewers.
Wow.
At that time, we had 10, maybe 15,000 subscribers, and an ad company contacted me, and they were like, "We want to put ads on your videos. You take 80%, we'll take 20%." And I was like, "Let's do it." And then I got my first check probably of November of 2017. No, not 2013, when I was 17. That's what I'm trying to say. And it was like $500. And I was like, holy crap.
Holy shit, man.
I was like, this is legit. And TNA was coming to town that month. I got me and 4 of my main guys who love wrestling with me, and I bought us front row tickets, and we went to an Impact house show and watched Samoa Joe in a cage match with Bully Ray. And it was really, and so that was the first check. But that was only because we started that partnership half the month. So then the next month come around, $1,700, right?
Wow.
Was the next check. And I was like, holy crap, I want to buy a ring. I want to immediately buy a ring.
Right.
So I contacted a guy that I knew was an indie wrestler. He built rings. And I was like, hey, how much is this ring? I want to buy it. And it was like a little bit out of my price range, not too much. I could have saved up to get it. But he was like, I don't feel comfortable selling a 17-year-old a ring, but I'm more than willing to train you guys if y'all want to come over.
Yeah.
So I immediately got 2 that I knew would be down to do it, and I paid for our training every week. And 3 months later, I was off to the races.
How much were you paying for training?
So this guy was super good. So he had connections with the Armstrong family, who I trained with a lot. But he also had a wrestling ring in his backyard and under a big pavilion. I would go. It was always open, so we would train 3 times a week, and we would pay $25 a week, so $100 a month. But it was cheap enough. But he saw that we loved it.
Right.
I've seen guys come and go through training.
Oh, absolutely.
But if we love it, and he knows that we're gonna help, immediately he started taking us to shows with him, and there was 3 of us and my trainer that we would just drive everywhere together. And if he didn't know something, he brought in guys that trained at the Heart Dungeon or High Flyers, please, to show us stuff. And I got some of the best training. Man, I got so lucky with my training that it immediately advanced me, because there was 4 or 5 guys that mainly trained. We were in there 3 times a week. We were grinding. We were always learning something new. And 3 months in, I was trained and ready to go. He also let me start as a referee. So I refereed before I was ready to train. Before I finished training.
Right.
So I was in there learning how things are done from the get-go.
Right, crowd reaction,
Yes.
camera work, so on
And
and so forth.
then KBW kind of took a back seat because of that. But that was around my senior year. I started training, and then all the way until I graduated, I was training and wrestling. So half a year I got in. It took 3 months. I had my first match in May of 2014, and then I wrestled all throughout that summer before I had to move to Oklahoma because of a soccer scholarship.
Wow. Damn, man. Do you remember what it was like taking your first bump? Like the feeling,
Yes,
the thought that went right
So
through your
here's
head?
the deal. Like I said, I pride myself on how tough I am. I still didn't think it was going to feel like it did. Of course, there was nervousness, but I just remember loving it. Like, I remember coming home after hitting the ropes, running the ropes, and having marks on my back and I was like, wow, I didn't know even just running the ropes was this tough.
Yeah.
But I was all in. Like, I was, from the first bump, I was like, I was born to do this. Like, it still sucked, and like he eased us into bumps, but I was just so eager to be the best in the training class too, of just wanting to improve, that I fell in love with it real quick and got, now I bump like it's nobody's
like it's
business.
nothing, yeah. Like,
And so I try to develop that pretty quickly.
bumping for you is like walking at this
Yes,
point.
yes.
So how did you go from being Cage to developing the persona of Fuego del Sol?
So there was one guy that did Lucha Libre in Florida, but there were no Lucha guys at all in my area.
Right.
And I was very small. I'm still not the biggest guy, but I was very small.
You're putting
5
on
years
size,
ago,
though.
slowly but surely. And it just, I with all the flips I could do, I always thought, like, what would set me apart. And I felt like even in WCW, when Ray was not as jacked as he was when he got to WWE, people didn't look at him. Of course, they see a small man, but the mask just added something to him where it's not, this is not like I don't know. It just added a mystique to him where it made him credible immediately.
Right.
And so it adds credibility even though you're small. And so me and my trainer talked for a while, and then I got with that lucha guy in Florida. He taught me a lot of lucha, and we were like, this will be the best. And even if I only do it for 5 months to get some experience in the ring and then drop the mask and become my own person, it would be just good to start me off like this because there's nobody in this area. Unfortunately, though, or fortunate, I should say, it got over very quickly.
Right.
I
I remember, you were probably one of the most over guys on the card, and I had never heard of you before. And I guess this was the first night that we had even met. Drake comes up to a young Wesley Crane, Luke Grayson at that time. Thank God that guy's gone. But he comes to me and he said, "You're working Fuego tonight. Have you ever worked him, or do you know of him?" I had no clue. So I go back to the little room you were in. We start talking about it. We get out there, and it was one of Luke Grayson's better matches because everything else, I think a dog could produce something a million times better. But I remember one thing, mid-match we were up top and we hadn't really worked something out here. We were just there and we didn't know how to get, from point A to point B. And I remember you going, "Ronami." And I just go, "What?" You're like, "Ronami, I got you." I said, okay. Just went for it. And it was the first time I had ever done it. Definitely stepped out of my comfort zone because I think I'd only been in for, 7 months at that point. Like, I was not in for very long.
Yeah, I was maybe only a year and a half in at that time. But that was at Mid-South in Oklahoma City.
Right.
And I'd wrestled there a few times, but never a guy that could move as fast as I could. So I saw that as an opportunity of, hey, we could actually have a faster paced match. And so I remember throwing a lot of things at you that maybe you hadn't done before, but I was like, we could pull it off just because, like I said, because I helped produce so many KBW matches, I'm very mind oriented of, hey, let's try this. I got you. I can protect you because no matter how small I am, I feel like I'm just as good as base as anybody.
Absolutely.
And that's how I thought. So I try to, when I can lead, I try to lead.
Yeah, you definitely strike me as the leader in a lot of your matches. I think even guys like Graham Bell, Luke Langley, stuff like that, who are also natural leaders. You come in, you're playing the lead role. Sometimes it can clash, and sometimes it can work out for the best. So I know you and Graham tore it up at WFC in Owasso last night. Definitely made my job harder as the main event. People were like, dude, just don't bother. They did everything. Just go out there and try to kill Gemini and leave it at that. I was like, all right, cool. I'm cool with that because you and I are going toward tonight at World Class in Wichita, Kansas.
Looking forward to it. First time one-on-one since that young Luke Grayson and young Fuego Del Sol, and almost 4 years ago.
We've come so far in both of our journeys.
Absolutely.
Now
it was crazy because I didn't see you for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I saw you again, you had put on so much size and were doing so much better things. I was like, this kid, I don't know what happened, but he is picked up his game tremendously, and I was like, I immediately want to work him again because I'm still proud of that match as two young guys that we had, but I knew we could produce something much better.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny because there are so many guys, like Mr. Nasty and Skylar Faden. Like there are so many guys that come to me and they're like, dude, you something
clicked,
something clicked, yeah.
Man.
And I think what happened was when I broke my leg in 2016, I sat on my couch and I was mad because I knew that what I was doing obviously wasn't working. Nobody gave a shit, and I hated every match that I was in to some degree. And so something clicked. I reverted back to a journal that I wrote when I was all hopped up on certain drugs and stuff like that, and I kind of brought it into what I do now. There were thoughts of, I wonder what a person tastes like, and all sorts of other stuff that people would just look at and go, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So that's definitely something that not very many people know. But I mean, we've come so far in our wrestling career in such a short time. Neither one of us, I don't think, has been in. How long have you been in now?
Just made 5 years, but like I said, I was doing soccer at the same time, so that first year I really counted as like a half year. It was like 4.5.
So four and a half, 5 years, like less than right about half a decade, we'll say, which is not very long at all,
especially
in pro wrestling terms.
Like I'm only 23, and so like I'm super impatient. But then I realized it's like someone like Daniel Bryan didn't make it until he was 30. Like he was 10 years in.
Right.
I was like, so like, even if I have to grind for 5 more years, like I know I'm on the right track and doing the right things.
Right,
so.
Like Moxley was in for 10 years, Bryan was in for 10 years. There's so many guys that, spend years and years of their life doing what they love on the indie scene just to get to the WWE or, to New Japan or something much, much bigger. Now, you've had matches with, Matt Cross, Brian Cage, Sammy Guevara, who's now at AEW, a really good friend of both of ours. What was the best learning tool in working with those guys?
Just to how much more advanced things are. Different transitions, more. You got tougher guys in there that's been doing it longer, so they're going to be more resilient at the end of matches. So having to have even more in your arsenal to have to kick it out of even bigger things. I don't feel like you can truly get better unless you're working someone better than you.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is. Like I want to work the best so that way I can become the best,
Yeah, man.
But yeah, just trying to keep up, That's all. I want to make sure my cardio is on point to try to keep up.
I remember because I worked Sammy in a 4-way. It was me, Sammy Guevara, Andy Dalton, and Barrett Brown.
And I was very upset I was not involved in that match.
You were definitely considered for it. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. Pro wrestling religion.
Right? Man.
I think I pissed them off the show before.
Man.
Something happened.
I remember them saying, it was going to be the 5-way, and you were the 5th person, and then I got the message from Andy saying, it's a fatal 4-way now, and it's us 4. I was like, well, fuck, that sucks. But I mean, we're
sucked
still
for
gonna
me.
fight.
That was a great match.
Right. It was a fantastic match. Definitely one of the, I think, highlights of my career thus far. But I had watched a lot of Sammy's stuff from PWG and other like top level, indie feds. And I was like, man, this guy can fucking go. And I knew that Barrett and Dalton could go because I had already worked with them before, but I'd never even worked with Sammy or even spoken to him. The match, aside from, I think, one spot in the very, very beginning, went off without a hitch. Everything was perfect. The crowd was into it. We got the All These Guys chant several times, and we did a curtain call at the end just for Dalton to celebrate. And it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. Sammy reaching into his pants to mock me was probably one of the funniest things I've seen in person, and it's really hard to keep character when shit like that's going down.
Oh, yeah?
But, I mean, I know you and Sammy actually have a very unique relationship.
Yeah, I mean, you could call it that. Funny, even the way we met, I was trying to expand down to Texas. And I had I made up a resume, had some good highlight tape, and I literally went on Facebook and messaged every wrestling Texas company I could find, sent them my resume. I would go through, look at their pages. I saw this company. I saw Sammy as their world champion, just on a quick video on Facebook or whatever. 2 weeks later, I wasn't even thinking about it again. And I get a message on KBW's YouTube channel from a kid named Sammy Guevara, and he was wanting to promote a video of a highlight video of his on our channel. He's just reaching out to a bunch of popular YouTube channels.
Wow.
To just try to get some traction.
Right.
And I said, dude, what a small world this is, because 2 weeks ago I saw you on a Facebook, and I sent this company. I was like, if you can get me booked in Texas, I'll get you a video on my channel. And we met like that. He got booked at World Class even before I got booked at that show that he put me on, and we got to wrestle each other then, and then we got to wrestle each other a few more times and just become good friends because we were texting about YouTube. I'd give him critiques and trying to help him and advice on YouTube, and he would help me in the Texas scene. And so we developed a really cool friendship, and then he's a big vlogger, and even though KBW was not active at the time, he was like, dude, you have too big of an audience not to be using it.
Right.
And so he convinced me to start vlogging, and then it just become a thing of us back and forth
in
with
each
the
other's
vlog.
vlogs,
Yes.
man. That is something I think that so many people, obviously there are so many people that watch yours. There are so many people that watch his.
And it's crazy because he only had like 1,000 subs when I first met him. And like now he's got 22,000 subs, and like
fucking insane.
And doing big things. I told him though, I got messages on my phone for 2 years. I was like, dude, in 2 years you're gonna be everywhere. Yeah. And like here he is now, killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember watching his vlogs, watching some other vloggers that he recommended to me because I was gonna start one. But right about the time that I was gonna start mine, Barrett starts his, Malico starts his. Like everybody just jumps on this thing.
For a minute, yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, and so I reserved myself for this podcast, this show, because my dad, not only did I grow up in the wrestling business, with my dad and everything, but he also did radio.
Oh, nice.
So he taught me a lot when it came to radio, audio production, that kind of thing. And I figured, why not lend my hand at something that I think I'm fairly good at.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you and Sammy giving each other backhanded shout-outs, I guess.
Well, absolutely. That was the thing. It was like, it gives them a reason to watch both because, he's going to respond to who's going to respond to this. And like, he would motivate me to make them because sometimes I would get bored with it or not feel like I was getting the traction that it needed.
Right.
But this year I buckled down and really invested in it and got a brand new camera, got this big software, and was really enjoying it, coming up with different things to make myself different and not just, hey, going to a show, hey, here's some highlights, hey, thanks for watching.
Right.
Trying to make it a little bit more diverse, not too long, and really fixed it to where I was putting out something I was proud of and enjoyed doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say that he kind of pushed you to kind of elevate yourself in the vlogging world, I guess. But preparing for this, I watched I think like 2 or 3 small short interviews that you've done, and one of them, following yours, had the guest of Sammy Guevara. And I listened to it as well, and he actually said that you elevated him to step up his game when it comes to vlogging.
Yeah, it's because like I said, originally he just wanted advice on YouTube. So I was like, dude, thumbnails are a big deal, and just a bunch of little tricks with tags and titles and thumbnails that I was really good at. Of helping him do that, and then he would literally make a vlog, send it to me. I would watch it, and he was like, give me critiques, and I was like, I thought this was funny. Do this more. Let's do this. And like, he was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right, dude. You're a YouTube genius when it comes to like little behind the scenes stuff. Because when I learned it as I went back when I originally started, but I did find some very unique tricks and seeing how people make things blow up. And so I did help him out a lot at the beginning until he was like, he was happy at his growth. And he's like, now you should start making them. And then I was like, well, what do you think of this? And it just become a thing now of whenever one of us put out a new vlog, I know 5 minutes later someone's going to send us a link and we watch each other's stuff and, you know, talk about it.
Essentially just helping each other get to that next level.
Absolutely.
That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. He's one of my best friends. We talk constantly. He's a funny dude. And like I said, he's helped me in more ways than one to get places where I want it. And so it was a really cool friendship, and how it developed was awesome. And so I'm so happy for him now. He's going to keep killing it. And I just hope to, you know, he's 2 years older than me. So I just tell him, you know, you just got a 2-year head start. So in 2 years, I'll be where he's at.
Just going to catch up to him, huh?
I'm going to catch up to him.
Man, the interesting relationship I have with Sammy, it all stemmed from that match. And the only reason I think that we came away with such a good relationship was because we both went in there working with each other quite a bit in the match and willing to do whatever it took to make the crowd happy.
That's a big deal. Like, I feel like one of the biggest, and I learned this at a seminar when I was real young, unselfishness is a giant deal. People want to work with you if you're unselfish.
Absolutely.
And I feel both of you guys are that way. And so I had no doubt in my mind that's why you guys got along.
Absolutely. I remember Andy Dalton telling me a story about PCO. He worked PCO, I think, at VIP, I believe.
Ooh, I think it's Inspire.
Was it Inspire? Oh, see, you got your stuff way more like down pat than I do. It's hard for me to follow up on all of Andy's fucking shows and stuff. Man, he's everywhere.
He is.
But yeah, he told me a story about PCO coming in and pretty much being like, "Oh, what do you want to do? I'll do anything." And Andy said something about the brain buster. He's like, "Oh, you want a brain buster on apron?" And like immediately, Andy was like, "What the no, man? Like, are you insane?"
And he is. He's very much. PCO was absolutely insane.
Oh, absolutely. But he's everywhere. He literally PCO. I had no clue who he was.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was one of the him and the Mountie were the Rougeos.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no clue. And then all of a sudden, he's everywhere. He's blowing up. He's doing.
I was there
everything.
the night him and Walter fought in New Orleans.
Oh, shit.
And so I saw the match that blew him up because, like, a lot of people didn't know who PCO was, but him and Walter stole the show at Spring Break 1, and then after that, he was absolutely everywhere. He's 51 years old and is a madman.
Jesus. I always see like little GIFs of him. Sammy Callahan has me fucking watching GIFs now. I don't ever watch a full show. I watch a GIF. If the GIF interests me, I then go watch
I have a list on Twitter where you can make like a group, and it's just GIF accounts. So that way I go click on that, and I scroll through, and it's nothing but GIFs of recent wrestling or anybody that posts wrestling GIFs. I scroll through and watch that, and that's how I keep up with a lot of my wrestling. It's just GIF accounts.
I feel like that is becoming a more mainstream way to keep up with it. Like if you miss the show, there are people that are like, do I want to sit through 2.5, 3 hours, or do I? Oh, that's cool. Okay, that match might be worth watching.
And if you do something cool and it gets some retweets and you get some traction, you get more bookings.
Absolutely.
Like, it's very hard to get exposure where we're from. So if I see a show that's getting GIFed on Twitter or anywhere, I want to be on that show because my stuff looks cool in GIFs, and that'll help me out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when I did Wrestle Circus recently, a bunch of my stuff got GIFed, and immediately I got 3 or 4 bookings just off of that because of how much exposure it got. I mean, I didn't realize how much that works, but just we're in an area where people don't put their stuff out like that to where it could get GIFed. Yeah.
I think I've only seen one GIF of me, and it was recent. It was me and Sky De La Cremosa in the excessive violence match where I stapled Cash to his forehead and chest. It's the only one that I've seen of me, and like you don't even see me, you just see my hands come in frame and staple shit to him, which that match is the only match that I can really remember like, oh, I'm in pain. This sucks. Why did I choose to do this? Like, it's the only match I've ever had that feeling in. Every other, incident, whether I get hurt or, what have you, I've always been like, well, that was on me. I can't really be mad because, shit happens. But yeah, man, gifts are
changing the game.
It really is, yeah. Now, we kind of touched on it earlier. When you and I first met, you were tiny. Like,
yes, very much so.
Tiny.
Still am,
and I was even smaller than you.
And that's crazy. Yeah, you're much bigger than me now.
So you've obviously taken, your health, gym, fitness. You've obviously adapted that into your schedule. So what is your routine like? What's your diet like?
Ooh, okay, so it's very hard for me to gain weight. I have a super high metabolism. I wish I could gain weight easily, but I cannot. So it's a lot of counting calories, counting grams of protein. I'm not big on protein shakes. I do not like the taste of them. I have recently found some I do like, and so I try to drink them. But because I also work during the week, I manage a trampoline park, and so the hours there are so crazy. So I don't have a set schedule. Some mornings I can take my daughter to daycare and go work out. And some mornings I am at home because I'm off. I have a small bench in my backyard. I have dumbbells. I do circuits. I have a pull-up bar. I get it in where I can, but I always at least 3 times a week are in the gym at some point. And then it's 6 eggs in the morning, few protein cookies throughout the day, chicken breast for lunch, and then at night I have gotten to these protein bowls that I eat. Like, I love mac and cheese. I love chicken. So there's these chicken and mac and cheese protein bowls with like 30 or 40 grams of protein that I eat almost every day, just trying at night. Now, I try when I can to stack a protein shake at the end of my day or at the beginning of my day when I can, but my schedule is so crazy that sometimes I don't get them in. I feel like I'd be putting on more weight if I started drinking more protein shakes, but it's rough.
What are you sitting at right now as far as weight goes?
160, but when I wrestled you probably 3 years ago, I was probably sitting at 130. Okay. So in the past 5 years, I've put on at least 30 pounds, but most of that I've gained like 10 pounds this year just because I've really buckled down this year. But
see, I think back when we worked the first time, I was only like 140, 145, something like that. So it's weird because I was smaller than you, but I was definitely holding more weight. Now,
yeah, I was very lean.
Very, and I wasn't. Still not, but working my way back because while I might be bigger physically than you, I'm sitting right at 160 with you. I weighed myself this morning, 160 at 19% body fat, which is great considering a week ago I was 173 at 24% body fat.
Yeah, I'm sitting at 9% body fat right now.
That's probably where I would love to be, is about 9%. But I think the funniest part about losing 10 pounds and a few percentage in body fat in a week, I think the funny part about it is that my diet has been complete shit. Like, dude, I had McDonald's this morning. I had
McDonald's. Show days are the worst. Can't. Like, that's my cheat day, Saturday, most of the days. Show days are the worst.
I have almost exclusively been eating, McDonald's, Burger King, any kind of fast food I can get my hands on. McFlurries are my shit right now, and all I've been doing, I've just been dropping weight. And I don't know if it's just like my body got so used to the diet I was on that the reverse diet now is working or what, because I haven't been working out as much as I typically do. I'm usually in the gym 7 days a week, and I haven't been in the gym in almost 3 weeks now. Wow. So, yeah. So when did it click for you where you were like, okay, I need to get serious about, the gym and diet and stuff like that for...
Man, you don't know how many times I've said, I'll go do a Ring of Honor tryout when I put on some more mass. Or, I'll go do an Evolve tryout when I put on some more mass. And that day never comes, so I never buckle down. But at the beginning of this year, I just set a goal to be bigger and to really dedicate myself. And I feel like that's like the past 2 years I've been doing working out, but not nearly as much as I should, or focusing on my diet like I should. When I buckled down and set me a diet up and went and bought all of these meals a week prior and would eat them I'd buy meals 2 weeks in advance or buy protein cookies 2 weeks in advance. And so I would take them to work with me. At one point, I would make meals. My work didn't have a microwave, so I would take a microwave to my job each day to heat up my stuff to eat. I was shitting like a motherfucker, though. Jesus Christ. It would go through. It would be the worst. And, oh, my God. It was bad. But
just terrible,
I was trying to eat it and slow my metabolism down and put on mass. And slowly but surely I'm doing that. And I feel like just as you get older, it comes. But, man, it is rough for me. But I also have learned that I felt like I couldn't be somebody until I was bigger. And now I feel like, no, my talent speaks for itself, and that gives me more confidence in the gym to where, like, it's not like, oh, I'm making an excuse of not going to the gym. I'm like, no, I'm just as good, but to be even better, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to eat right because that's where because in 2 years, 3 years, I'm going to be at a happy weight where I'm like, okay, I'm good enough to be here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you look at Brian Cage, when he first started as to where he's at now, like, it doesn't even look like the same fucking guy.
No.
And, I know you've worked Cage.
Yes.
And, I've met him not only at wrestling events, but at, Body Spartan seminars. Yeah, stuff like that. And he is truly huge. Like, the dude is on another level.
And he has 3 suitcases: a merch suitcase, a gear suitcase, and a food suitcase. Because he takes food everywhere with him.
Wow.
Prepares food, constantly eats it. Yeah. The day I wrestled him, that night, I ended up driving him back to his hotel, and he kind of just gave me a rundown of all of his meal prep. He also used to backyard wrestle, so I popped him with talking about KBW, and we just developed a cool relationship through that. He's one of the few things that have made me consider steroids in my life.
Oh, hey, man.
Haven't done them, but done a lot of research about them.
Oh, me too. I at one point had an entire protocol written. This was how much I was going to take of this for this long, and man,
had his cycles written out. That's
yeah,
funny.
I had everything written down, and I was going to document the whole thing. So I mean, we've talked a lot about wrestling and a lot about KBW and just kind of your upbringing within the wrestling business. But what are like some of your hobbies outside of wrestling?
Ooh, it's a lot of wrestling. So I work, like I said, I love my job. I get to work with kids every day. Kids are a big passion of mine. I watch a ton of wrestling. Like, I'm constantly watching wrestling. But the time I do get to spend with my daughter and my wife are the main things I do. Like, we have set time. If I'm off from work and I'm not wrestling that weekend, me and my wife have certain shows that we love to watch together. Her parents are really close with us, and so we're constantly over there. And she has 2 younger brothers that are really into wrestling, so getting to go over there, hang out with them. I also am into music a lot. I love music. I also do a little bit of rapping, but like nothing
really
legit, but enough to where I entertain myself. I'm a smart guy. I can put words together. It's not too hard. But love music, all types of music, and then a lot of TV. I watch, and YouTube as well. I watch a lot of YouTube.
I need to get you and Tim Rockwell in here to do a rap off at some point.
He don't want to battle me.
Interesting enough. I had no idea you were even married until last night.
Yeah, so like I said, a lot of people just know Fuego. I try to keep the personal life personal.
Right, and honestly, in this crazy ass fucking business, I think that is probably the smartest thing any man can do is separate his personal life from his work life.
I'll never forget Lance Storm said it. He said that Macho Man told him that I brought my wife into wrestling business. I don't have a wife no more.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
when I started training, I got trained by Cole Crittenden. I don't know if you remember him or not.
I don't think I'm not familiar with him.
All right, and I was also trained a little bit by Steve Cox. Do it to it, Steve Cox.
I do know Steve
and
Cox.
That crazy bastard, like that's a whole nother thing, man.
Oh yeah, you probably learned a lot more than just wrestling.
Man, I'll tell a quick Steve Cox story. There was a training session where it was me, Steve, Cole, and another guy training who went by Joey Sticks, and Joey, I love him to death, could not throw strikes to save his life.
Oh, God.
So Steve gets all uppity, and starts like, yelling at him like, oh, that's not how you throw a strike. This is how you throw. Come here, kid, come here. And he's, and so he gets Joey to come over there. And he's like, this is how you throw and sell a strike, and punches Joey right in the fucking face,
Oh my
hard. And Joey, covers his mouth like, what the fuck, dude? And Steve was like, well, I thought you were going to move. And me and Cole Crittenden lose our shit, looking at each other like, did he really just say, like, he called him over there.
To hit him in the face. And just expected him to move.
So, man, Steve is legitimately one of the craziest people I know, but I love him to death. I remember first day, Cole and Steve, gave me the speech of, don't date anyone in the business. If you are dating someone, don't bring them around the business because it won't last. It'll be gone. It'll dissipate. Somebody will take her, so on and so forth. Crazy enough, I met my wife in wrestling.
Wrestling, of course, yes.
Training at SRPW. One of the good things I can say about Spider, he is the one that got me to come to training at that time, and that is where I met her.
Dope.
It was probably the one thing that saved my life, because
nice.
at that time I was addicted to drugs and stuff, and the night I met her, I quit everything cold turkey. So
yeah,
I ended
love
up
will sober you up real quick. It can also mess you up.
Yes,
but
it can. Yes, it can.
It can definitely sober you up.
I'm not going to say that I'm the most sane of people.
No, I feel you.
Thank you to my wife. But she took care of me for a week while I threw up everywhere. Ooh. And my parents thought it was just because, I was stranded up there. It was during a snowstorm, so I was there and I was stuck. But at the same time, I was going through withdrawals. So that was definitely a blessing because my parents didn't have to deal with that. I was grouchy as fuck the entire week, but I'm really, really glad I took that step in my life. Now, you also have a daughter, correct?
Yes, and I'm expecting a second daughter Monday, actually.
Jeez, you just can't have boys, can you?
No, I hit it so hard I knocked the balls off of it.
My family has this weird thing. My dad's first kid was a boy. His brother's first kid was a boy. His mom's first, she never had a girl, so they were both boys, and it trickled down
just hereditary,
5 or 6 generations. So,
see, and I have a weird thing in my family where it rotates, right? So, like I said, I'm the oldest of 3 boys and then 1 girl,
right?
And then, of course, both my brothers and me have had girls first, Jeez. And so it rotates. Like, it's weird in my family. My mom was the first in her, and then it's weird. It's weird.
Man, when my wife and I got pregnant the first time, I remember my mom and dad being like, so what are you going to name him? Like, immediately thinking, you're having a boy because, it trickles down. And we didn't know. And we didn't know until we found out the gender, because we're those people, we find out the gender, we name it, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But when we found out it was a girl, we immediately called my we were like, we've decided on the name, Brooklyn. And they were like, wait, what? You're having a girl? And they were so blown away by it. And geez, my daughter is the sweetest little girl I've ever met. Obviously a pain in the ass at times, but what kid isn't?
Exactly.
I wouldn't trade my kids for the world, man. All 3 of them.
That's one thing that you always hear of a parent's love for their children. And before you have kids, you think that's bullshit. But until you have a kid, I didn't realize, just the small things that would make you happy, right? Like, if I didn't have a kid, sitting at home watching TV, whatever.
Right.
Sitting at home watching TV with my kid playing in the floor, she could say something, do something, little stuff, or just run over and hug you.
Yeah.
Little happinesses that I just didn't even know that could exist that just makes my day better.
Absolutely.
All the time. It's so weird. That's what I tell people the biggest difference was. It's just having those small happinesses that I didn't even know could exist.
Right. Some of my worst days, I'll be sitting at this computer and I'll be editing or whatever. I'll just be so down on myself. Yeah. And I'll hear, my 6-month-old son, I giggle, or, Brooklyn will run up and hug me, tell me she loves me, something like that. And it immediately pulls me out of that. Yes. And it's almost like the entire day turns around.
Exactly.
Man, kids there's something else.
Mm-hmm.
I always hear, right. And I always hear people that just quit wrestling because, I've got a kid on the way. I gotta start being serious. Mm-hmm. But in all reality, if if you have the heart and drive to make wrestling something, man, that can provide for you and your family. On top of that, kids love wrestling.
Yes.
I took a very small break, and during that small break, every day, my kids would ask me when we were going to another wrestling show when they were going to see me wrestle again. My daughter knows my theme song, not even from the first like actual instrument hit, but the little voice crackle in the beginning. As soon as that sounds off,
she knows.
She's like, oh, "Daddy!" Like she knows.
That's
it's
awesome.
so crazy. Like, does your daughter ever watch any of your matches?
Yes,
or anything like
and
that?
so like she's been in a few vlogs. So like immediately if she sees a picture of me, Fuego, Fuego, and like she knows how to chant it, and I can even ask her right now. I was like, "Who's your favorite?" And she'll say Fuego, and like she's only 2, but it's the like if she sees a picture or a thumbnail or anything, Fuego, 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 and like she likes wrestling now, but she'll chant Becky or Kevin Owens, and I have got it. It's an awesome thing. Yeah, and my dad was, like I said, he was a giant wrestling fan, so of course I'm gonna pass it down. But my dad also was a hard worker. He'd like never missed a day of work in like 13 years, and he worked a lot, but he still were able to be at my games or help and still raise me. And that's how I look at wrestling. Like no matter as long as I work my hardest to be there for my kids when I can, you can still be a hard ass worker and make it in wrestling and live that dream and still be the best father you can be.
Absolutely.
And I want to teach my daughter to chase her dreams. And so how would I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't go out and chase mine.
Amen, man. That's fucking dead on.
And we will be right back after we thank our sponsor. Blackstone Labs, the hardcore holy grail of supplements. They know what bodybuilders and fitness enthusiasts want, which is why they are so tirelessly dedicated to giving it to you. Blackstone is for everyone. No matter what it is, if it can aid you in your journey to succeeding, they will develop it and get it to you the best way possible. No matter what path you choose to go down, Blackstone Labs will provide you with the supplements you need not only to meet your goals, but to exceed them. Check them out at www.blackstonelabs.com and use the code TheWesleyCrane at checkout for 20% off of your total order. And now, back to the show.
Your systems are offline.
I want to play a game.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on Spin That Fucking Wheel.
This is gonna be good.
Oh, we got a
Piece
game.
of this.
Shit.
So I'm
I'm nervous about this one.
Jesus Christ.
You throwing shit at me I'm not ready for. Let's see. Let's see if I can think on my toes.
I'm not even ready for this. Like, I told my wife what games that I would like to play on the show. I gave her no further instruction aside from what the rules of the game were. She went out, did all the names and answers and stuff like that. Right, my wife. Without her, I'd be lost.
So we're gonna spin the wheel here to determine what game we're gonna play today.
Rock band, racehorse, or porno flick.
Oh snap!
We
and
draw
so I
on-
have to guess if it's a rock band, a racehorse, or
Right.
a porno. I'm going to suck at this.
A name is drawn. We both have to put in our guess. The loser of this game has to take a shot of water, because that's all we have right now, out of the winner's chute.
Yay!
Great vlog content, right, buddy?
Oh, absolutely.
Choose the first one here. Irish and Foxy. Is it a rock band, racehorse, or porno flick?
Irish and Foxy.
Jesus Christ.
I could definitely see someone searching that. I could definitely see that being
That's a Pornhub video right there. isn't
a
it?
rock band as well, though. If they have a lead singer named Irish and a hot girl, I don't see that being a racehorse. It's one or the other. So I'm gonna go with, just not to have a dirty mouth, I'm gonna go with it's a rock band.
All right, I'll go the opposite of you. Still, I don't think it's a porno flick.
You think it's a racehorse?
Maybe. No, because I'm going to choose racehorse, and it's not going to be a racehorse. So I'm going to choose a porno flick.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh
And
god.
it's a racehorse. It's a fucking.
We were
racehorse.
both wrong.
It is a fucking
Yay.
racehorse.
At least we're even. At least we're even at
Yep,
this.
nothing.
Irish and Foxy. Who names their horse? Was it multiple horses? I can't.
A horse tag team? Whiskey Makes Me Frisky. Is it a rock band, racehorse, or porno flick?
Nah, that definitely sounds like a porno, but I now am going to go racehorse because I could definitely see some country bumpkin naming their horse Whiskey Makes Me Frisky.
Fucking right. So you're going with racehorse.
Yes. You going porno flick?
I'll go with porno flick, yeah. Yeah, that's gotta be one. Gotta be.
Look at you. You're going to know the answer. I don't know. He could be working me right here, guys. I have no clue if he knows these answers or not.
Whiskey Makes Me Frisky. No, you're fucking right. It's
Yes,
a
sir.
racehorse.
Yes,
It was
sir.
a
Racehorse. One on the board. One on the board for Fuego.
1-0 Fuego.
Thank God.
We got 5 rounds, so 3 rounds left. What's next? Let's see. We got Jameson Dick. Is it a rock band, racehorse, or porno flick?
Again, it sounds very much like a porno flick, but that is a rock band.
That's a rock band.
I'm
Jameson
thinking rock.
Dick.
I'm thinking that's a rock band. Definitely could be a racehorse
You
too,
know
but
what?
I'm thinking it's
the
a rock.
last 2 have been racehorses, so I'm gonna go
Gonna
with
jump on
racehorse.
racehorse.
Yeah, I'm going with racehorse. The
All
last
right.
2 have been racehorses, so why wouldn't I? At this point, Jameson Dick. It's a fucking porno.
Wow, we were both wrong.
Where the
Well, I'm still up 1, so I'm fine
you're
with that.
still up
I'm
1.
fine with being up 1.
1-0 still.
Luckily,
Fuego.
it's been going my way. Like I said, I'm lucky. Let's see.
We got one more. Bailey's Irish Cream. Which, I mean, that's a liquor, right?
Yes, but I'm going racehorse with Bailey.
Racehorse. Bailey's Irish Cream, the racehorse. Okay.
Yes.
Fuck it.
Fuck, man.
It's
I
gotta
think it
be-
might be a rock band. Fuck.
I think it's a porno flick.
Okay.
That's got to be a
All
porno
right, maybe you
flick.
tie it up right here. I'm going racehorse.
Let's see. Bailey's Irish Cream. No, it's a fucking racehorse.
Let's go.
God
Let's
damn
go.
it. So no matter
Let's go.
what, at this point, you have won. But
Thank
let's see.
God.
Let's see.
I did not want to take them. I know my shoes bad.
I fucking hate feet too. I have like a foot phobia, so this is gonna really fuck with me. One more, and we have Shamrock 69. Is it a rock band, racehorse, or porno flick? You've been fucking right on racehorses, so
I have, and
maybe
that
my
does
wife just
sound
did all racehorses.
that does sound like a racehorse. But I gotta go rock band with this one. I think that'll make me 4 for 5.
Rock band 4
Or no,
for 5.
or 3 for 5. I think
3 for 5.
I think I'll be 3 for
Is he
5.
3 for 5?
Maybe.
Yeah.
3
Because they've
for
all been
5.
fucking racehorses.
I'm going. Yeah.
Shamrock 69. You're going rock band.
Yes.
The number 69 is throwing me off.
It definitely. But like, I've seen too crazy of racehorse names, and so it definitely could be a
Bailey. I didn't see Bailey's
The
Irish
Irish
Cream
Cream?
coming. That had to have been a porno.
Yes.
Let's see. Shamrock 69. Yeah, it's a fucking racehorse.
You
There's
going racehorse? I'm going Rockman.
You've been right on racehorse every single time.
Yeah. Let's
so
see. So is it just me being lucky, or is it just your wife likes racehorses?
maybe it's I mean, her favorite animal was a horse growing up, so maybe it's just
It
the
definitely
racehorse
could
thing.
be racehorses.
Shamrock 69 is a rock band,
And
so-
I am 3 for 5, and I am
Jesus
the winner.
Christ.
And you have to take a shot out of my shoe.
Like, I've done some grotesque shit. I've had the entire crowd spit in my hand.
Absolutely your idea.
Oh, absolutely. How the fuck did I lose my own game on my own show?
Yeah, I was hesitant about this, but I was like, it's a cool podcast, it's a cool idea, and if I'm anything, I know that Mama didn't raise no bitch, right? So like, if you're willing to do it, I was willing to do it, but I was really hoping you were gonna have to lose, and thank God I know racehorses and rock bands, I guess.
Right? You had the clean mind, and that's how you won, right?
Yes, I did.
So, all right, how much do I actually have to drink? Is it just like a shot or
A little bit of a shot.
a little bit of a shot?
I'm just glad I don't have to do it, so I don't even care how much you do.
God, right
I
foot.
just know my shoes gonna be wet afterwards. I'm about to
That's
change
right.
anyways, it's good.
So, oh Jesus Christ, that's probably good, right?
That's plenty.
All right, put that over there. Fuck. Down the hatch, right?
On the hatch, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, fuck, man.
That's fine.
Feet fuck with me so bad. So, So I think that's all the time we have for today. Big thank you to Fuego Del Sol for coming in today. You can find him on Instagram at Fuego Del Sol _, Twitter at KBW_cage.
I think I'll change that eventually, but
You
right
gonna
now I'm
change
sticking
that?
with it. Yeah.
So as of now, it is at KBW_KAGE. You can find him on Facebook and YouTube at Fuego Del Sol. As always, you can find me on all social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at The Wesley Crane. Thank you all for tuning in with us today. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday as we dive into the shoot with some of your favorite wrestlers, filmmakers, and fitness enthusiasts.